Hello and welcome to the Essential Being podcast with myself, your host, Jolene Whiting. I have been a pole dance teacher for nearly 20 years. I'm also a yoga instructor, and my favourite pastimes are connecting to my own sensuality, connecting with the world, and connecting with animals as well. In this podcast, you'll find new and inventive ways of how you see yourself, connecting yourself with others, and also how you see and view the world around you. For this episode today, we are going to be looking at ways to stay in control of our own thoughts, our own minds, and how to live happier lives. It's definitely an episode that everyone should listen to today. Hello and welcome back to Essential Being podcast. I'm so thrilled to have you here with me today for this one. And I feel like this is going to be one of those important ones that really everybody should listen to, but they're probably not going to, because it means doing the work, doing a practice, actually taking control of your own life. Today's topic is very much about how we can stay in the moment, how we can ward off anxious feelings of depression. And the reason why I'm doing this episode is because not all cases should end up in you going to the doctors to get a tablet or a pill for something. That is the message I want to try and get across to you. This is the sort of thing that's in this podcast that you should be doing first. And this is things that you should be having in your life as regular things. Just because you feel sad one day does not mean you need a pill for it. You need to actually look at your lifestyle first. Medication is the last resort. Lifestyle is always first. And unfortunately, when you go to the doctors, you only get like 5 minutes with them. They don't ask you the right sort of questions that will actually help you move forward. A pill will only mask a symptom. And you want to be trying to get to the root cause of those symptoms. And a lot of it, not all, a lot of cases is actually your lifestyle. Now, when I say this, the stuff that I'm going to give you today is not going to be the case of, oh, well, I did that once and it didn't work. No, when I say lifestyle, it's not something that you do once, try once, and then boom, you're fixed. It doesn't work like that. Life doesn't work like that. It's lifestyle. It's the style of life that you keep and that you live by. So one of the biggies, and you're going to think, well, that doesn't really apply. It's not really a big deal. Actually, this is. When people identify themselves through the weather. It's a miserable day today. It's a grey day today. I feel shit. You know, this sort of thing, you might think, well, that's not really a big deal. It actually is. Because if you live in the UK and in a lot of places around the world, we get very overcast, lots of cloud, it blocks out the sun. We need the sun. The sun is beautiful and life-giving and ever-changing for us. We need the sun. So the days that we don't get it, or if it's raining, oh, it's miserable. This is so damaging to our health. And I'm not talking about the rain, and I'm not talking about the cloud. I'm talking about the attitude. This is serious. And when we start to identify with this, it works both ways. And when the sun comes out and we're like, oh, I'm happy today, the sun's out. I'm good. I'm happy for you that you feel like that. But that is not the only driving force of why you're happy. You get to choose. If you see when the rain comes down, if you choose to reframe this and see it as maybe it's cleansing your soul. You know, we need rain. We need the water. We need our food to get watered by the rain to be able to grow. It's not a bad thing. It really isn't. But we can really identify as the weather. And this, like I say, is so damaging. So I really want you to have a think about the weather and particularly reframing it if you are somebody who does this. And don't hold on to it too much when it's really good. Just enjoy it for what it is. When it's all sunny, just enjoy it for what it is and try not to put your identity onto those days either. Just let those days be a part of your lifestyle, not your identity. So they say that when it rains, look for a rainbow. When it's dark, look for stars. This reframing is huge. It really will help you. And when we talk about reframing, we can look at that in other areas as well of our lives to be able to reframe things. For example, saying things like, I get to do something. So maybe I hear this a lot. I have to do the school run. I have to. You don't have to do anything. I promise you. You don't even have to pay your taxes. I promise you. There might be ramifications for it if you don't, but it is your choice whether you choose to pay them or not, or choose to accept those ramifications coming to you. You know, we actually do get choice in our life. So when we say things like, I have to do this, I have no choice, we lose our power. We lose our sovereignty. And that means being disempowered just makes us weak. We're not weak. You're not weak. I'm not weak. I promise you're not weak. So when we reframe this, so for example, I get to do the school run. How does that make you feel? I get to go to work. Aren't you lucky that you've actually got a job? Because I'm telling you, there's a lot of people who haven't got a job, or, you know, they can't get a job for whatever reason, you know, and you have one and you get to go to work. You get to have a paycheck from that. Whatever it is, saying I get to will bring your power back, because let's face it, particularly when it comes to I have to do the school run, I just want to ask you, didn't you want children? Aren't you grateful that you have them? Every time I talk to parents, they say, I'd never change anything for the world. And I ask them, well, you know, you get to do all this then. Aren't you lucky? And they're like, oh, yeah, I am. I wanted this. So don't take it for granted what you've actually got going on. So saying I get to will actually really help with that. Another thing that's really good is allowing emotions to run through you. So not to hold on to anything. And it's one thing to grieve and be in sadness. It's another thing to hold on to it. You need to find ways of how to carry, like if it's grief, I don't know why I've said grief first, but it's come up first. There's obviously a reason why I've said it first. Things like grief, things that are very heavy, you need to find a way to carry them through your life and not be carried by them through your life. That is the difference. You will never get rid of these emotions, these deep, dark emotions. You will never get rid of. They will be just there, a part of you, but you need to find a way to move forward without being bogged down by it. And some of this comes with time. If something is fresh and raw, you need to let it move through you and not to suppress it, and not to just like, oh, I'm just going to ignore that. I'm going to throw myself into my work or to exercise or to a project or something. Allowing it to move through you. If you need to cry, cry. If you want to scream, scream. Because when you do that, it will move through you. And I remember years ago when I was going through a bit of a bad time. This was quite a long time ago, and I used to have PT sessions. And I turned up at my PT session and I ended up just saying to him, look, I'm just going to go. I don't mind paying you. I'm just going to go. I'm not happy. And he goes, oh, you know, you don't have to talk about it unless you want to. And so I said, I don't mind. I gave him a brief overview and he said, just wait there a minute. So I waited and he came back with pads to go in his hands and boxing gloves for me. I'd never done boxing before. And he said, just give it a go. He said, doesn't matter what you're doing, just give it a go. So I started punching him. As in like the hands, not him. And I kid you not, within less than a minute, I was laughing my head off. It had moved everything through me and I just released so much by just laughing. And that was one of probably my first most powerful experiences that I can remember of how to get out of your head and into your body which is so important when you need emotions to run through you, because emotions are like water going down a stream. They're not supposed to pool inside us and get stagnant. They're supposed to run through us. This means the happy ones as well. When you're happy, laughing, feeling joyful, again, don't try and hold on to them. Just allow them to move through you, because if you do this with those, then when you get what we deem as bad emotion, they will run through you as well. Which is the ideal. We don't want to hold on to anything. So things like shaking your body out, you can do it quickly. You see, like dogs do it. I've seen my dog already do this morning. He'll wake up, and when he gets up, he'll give himself a shake, and then he's ready for the day. He does this. I watch him do it. And if he's had a bit of a funny time, or, there was a pigeon or a duck in the garden and he didn't like that, when he comes back inside, he'll give himself a shake. And then he's ready to carry on with his day. He shakes that feeling out of himself. So why don't we do this more? And another thing, whilst we're on the subject of emotions, is to try not to label emotions. So we label them as good or bad. They just are. They just are. They are a part of us. There's not one emotion that we shouldn't feel. And as human beings, as spiritual beings, we are actually designed to embody all emotions. Hopefully not all at the same time, because that is chaotic. But to be able to embody all emotions is a gift. It's a superpower. It is a gift when you feel stuff. There is nothing like feeling so happy and so joyful, because you know from feeling how bad you can feel through grief, upset, depression, anxiety. When you feel good, it's because you know how dark you can feel, and that's how come we can feel good. If you never felt any darkness, you would never know when you're feeling happy. It's called balance. So never judge or demonize yourself for feeling. I'm just going to leave it there, for feeling. I was going to say feeling emotions. No, just for feeling. So moving on, I believe you should be filling your time and your energy by being around people who light you up, who support you, who say kind things to you, and who you want to say kind things to as well. I know I've said this before, but if you are around people who are not like this, you need to rethink who you are around. Not them, you. Because as I said at the start of this episode, it's about you taking control of your life. It is your life. It's not theirs. And this comes very difficult when we are talking particularly about family. If you have family members that are around you that actually hurt you, then you need to rethink how much time you spend with them, if any. And I don't care if somebody is a blood relative to you. You do not deserve to be treated badly. And treated badly does not just mean physical behavior towards you. It also means mental behavior, what they say. How do they support you? And I'm sorry, I'm not willing to beat around the bush with this. You do not need to put up with anything nasty in your life. And as soon as you break these cycles, you will open up space in your life for good things to come to you. I promise, when you break these cycles, it will happen. It might mean that you break up with your partner. Maybe it would mean that. Maybe there's some friends that you've been friends with for years and you've got a history together, but somehow right now and for the last few months or weeks or years that you actually you don't enjoy their company anymore. Maybe you've all grown apart. Maybe they've changed. Maybe you've changed. Maybe you've all changed. And you're just trying to keep meeting up because it's something that you did. But actually, it doesn't make you feel good anymore. Then maybe you need to rethink that. And this is such a hard one to do. It's really hard. I don't envy anybody who's going through this, but just know that you have support out there from the universe to do the uncomfy stuff. Because like I say, when you break patterns, new things come in your path, and they won't come unless you make the space. So it does work. And along the side of this as well is to have meaningful conversations, not just surface. A lot of the time I will ask people something, and I normally sort of say, you don't have to answer what I'm about to ask you, but I like to ask things that are quite personal. I like to invoke deep conversations with people, and they don't have to answer. So far, nobody said no. People want deep conversation. They want connection. And so do I. I love it. You don't need to be surface, particularly with people who you are spending a lot of time with. And remember to look into people's eyes. And I promise you, if you take a minute to look into someone's eyes, whether it be a friend, a partner, family member, you look into their eyes for 1 minute, you'll find it very hard to do. But why is that? It shouldn't be hard. This should be a normal thing that we do with people that we care about. And I don't mean look into their eyes when they're talking. I mean actually just stop what you're doing, look at each other and look each other in the eyes. It's so powerful and connective. You really see somebody and you really get seen as well. This works both ways. It's very connective and very powerful. And it's something that we don't take the time to do often enough. But when we do, connectivity happens, magic happens. And this helps us, these sort of things, helps us to appreciate those people who are around us and to tell them that. To tell them that you're grateful for them. Maybe look at your life today. Maybe write a list of all the things that you love about your life. Write about the people that you love. Maybe things that you've achieved. Maybe things that you've created. Write them down and then look at them. And it will hit home how grateful you are. Because a lot of the time you might think, well, I have all this going on around me. Why am I not happy? And sometimes it's because we forget and we take for granted that which is right in front of us, that which we have created. And it's remembering. You hear this term a lot, to remember who you are, remember why you came. Sometimes it's just a sheer fact to remember who was around you in that moment. Because we can be so in our own heads that we forget to be appreciative of those around us. And this you can do at any time. This is just mindset. This is your mindset. And it helps a lot of the time to get out of our head and into our body. So we have spoken a little bit about this with regards to like shaking and things like that, just shaking your body out. But movement, dance, walking, exercise, sport, martial arts, anything that will get you moving, will get you out of your head, because our heads go sometimes 100 miles an hour with crap thoughts and we spiral. And you think about something that's like dark or evil or sad or what, oh my God, my life would change if this happened. And all of a sudden your head feels like it's happened. Your body can't tell. This is why a lot of people get anxious and depressed, okay? I'm going to let you in on a secret here. If you didn't already know this, it's going to be obvious once I say it. So because your body can't tell if your thoughts are real or made up, your body will have a response. And you know that because have you ever thought about something really sad or really bad and it's made you upset? And you can feel that upset in your body and you're like, oh God, that would be awful if that happened. So when you think of actors and actresses, when they perform, when they're acting, they will call sometimes on thoughts, previous things that may have happened, to actually invoke their body to have a direct response to it, whether it be crying, particularly crying, that's the one thing. And their body will respond. And they could be in floods of tears. No, nothing's happened. They're just acting. But actually, they could have invoked a real trauma response in their body just from their thoughts. So when I go through this sort of thing with you, when I said at the start, this sort of thing is important, it really is, because your body can't tell the difference. So if you're allowing, and it is, you allow your mind to spiral into thoughts that don't do you any good, and you feel anxious from it, and you feel like, oh, I can't help it, Jolene, it's not my fault. No, I'm not saying it's your fault, but you can take control of it. But you have to try. You have to try. And I'm not saying you do it once, that you meditate once and you're cured. You go for a walk and then you're cured. It's not that. This is lifestyle. This is daily. Meditate daily if you feel anxious or depressed. And you'll feel like, oh, it didn't work. I can't do it. And those sort of thoughts, if you get those, you want to come out of your head and into your body. Dance, move, shake, run, walk, cycle, move. And you will find this process will get better, not easier, better. You will feel the benefit from it because, for example, with meditation, that actually rewires neural pathways in your brain to actually control the thoughts when you start feeling anxious. This is a process. It doesn't happen overnight, but I promise you, if you meditate every day for 5 minutes for 1 month, you will feel different in that time. That's all it takes. It's not long. It's not long. And one of the last things I'm going to leave you with is a fun one. And sometimes we don't create enough space for fun in our lives. Pointless fun I'm talking about. No purpose. Being creative for no reason. No reason. Maybe you're going to start a picture, but you've got no intention of finishing it. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But you're not creating something to share. You're not creating something to sell. You are not creating something because you need to finish something. You're literally just creating something. Maybe you just get a bit of paper and you just do a few doodles on it. Maybe you draw one of those little spider webs in the corner of your page. Don't know if you've ever done that. I do that a lot. Maybe you're just going to put on a song and have a dance. It doesn't matter. But it's being creative for absolutely no reason whatsoever. There's no outcome. It's not outcome driven. You're not doing it for Instagram or TikTok. You're just doing it just to actually be creative. And that is it. And when we do this sort of thing, we just bring a little bit more fun into our life, a bit of whimsical fun, a bit of freedom. Maybe it will set you on a new path of thinking, oh, I actually enjoyed painting that. Maybe I'm going to paint some more. I haven't painted since I was a child. You know, you might find that it will bring new things up for you. Or you might think, yeah, that was a bit of fun. I'm probably not going to do it again. And that's fine too. But it's just allowing that space to be a little bit free in our lives. So there's so many bits in there. Even if you take one thing from that today, it will help your life today. I promise you that. And the more of these things, then there's so many more. There's so many things that we can do. But it's remembering that we have control over ourselves. And as soon as we think we don't have any control and it's not our choice and everything's happening to me, always happens to me, that's when we lose our power. We lose our sovereignty. We don't feel empowered anymore. We feel disempowered. And as soon as we feel like that, we feel weak, we feel powerless, and we feel pointless. And that is not the way we should be feeling. Neither you or me should be feeling like that. You'll have easy days and hard days with this, and that's okay too. And it's remembering not to label those emotions either as good or bad. So I'm going to love and leave you there. Feel free to let me know how you get on. If there's any of these which is your favorite ones that you already do, or if you want to share some new ones with me, I'm always up for adding more into my repertoire of things that help me to stay happy and in the moment. Thank you so much for listening today. Remember to lead through your life with your heart and to live with intention. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this episode, please do share it with your friends and on social media. If you have the time to rate or review this podcast, I'd be ever so grateful. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, you can find me at Jolene Sensual Being. The links to my YouTube and to sign up to my mailing list will be in the show notes as well. I look forward to speaking with you again very soon.